For the last few years, it costs about $150 a year to sell hemp products in the state of Texas. Under proposed rule changes, that number was set to jump to $20,000 per retail store. Now, the final rules landed somewhere in the middle, but they still represent one of the biggest regulatory changes that the Texas hemp industry has seen since hemp's legalization. So in this video, I'm going to break down what these new rules actually say, when they may take effect, and what this could mean for hemp products in Texas. So for some background, we're going to answer why these rules exist. So to understand what's happening, we have to go back to how hemp became legal in Texas in the first place. In 2019, Texas passed House Bill 1325, which legalized hemp products containing less than 0.3% Delta-9 THC. That law created the modern hemp market here in Texas, including products like CBD, hemp-derived Delta-9, gummies, beverages, and more recently, products like THCA flower. But over the past few years, the market has grown rapidly and regulators began raising concerns about things like product safety and access to minors. In September of 2025, so last year, Governor Greg Abbott issued Executive Order GA-56, directing state agencies to strengthen oversight of consumable hemp products. That led the Texas Department of State Health Services, or we like to call them DSHS, to update the rules governing hemp products in Texas. And those new rules have now officially been adopted. So there's a little bit of a licensing fee controversy because one of the most controversial parts of this rulemaking was the licensing fees. Before these changes, the cost to operate in Texas was very low, as I mentioned. Retailers paid about $150 per location per year to register with the state, and manufacturers paid roughly $250 per facility per year. But when DSHS released the proposed rule changes in December 2025, those fees were set to increase dramatically. The proposal would have raised manufacturer licenses from $250 to $25,000 per facility and retail registrations from $150 to $20,000 per location. That's literally an increase of more than 13,000% in some cases. Not surprising, this became one of the most heavily criticized parts of the rulemaking process. During the public comment period, more than 1,400 comments were submitted by businesses, organizations, and individuals across Texas. Many of those comments focused specifically on the potential impact these fees could have on small businesses. Now, after reviewing those comments, the state revised the fee structure before adopting the final rules. So under the final adopted rules, manufacturers will now pay $10,000 per facility per year, and retailers will pay $5,000 per location per year. So while the state did lower the fees from the original proposal, the cost to operate is still dramatically higher than what businesses have been paying since hemp was legalized in the state. Now, a big question everybody has is what happens to THCA flower? To vapes, to concentrates, and one of the most significant parts of these new rules involves how the state defines and measures THC. Under these adopted rules, labs must calculate total THC, which includes both Delta-9 THC and the potential conversion of THCA into Delta-9 THC. Now, this may sound technical, but it has very real consequences for a large part of the hemp market. Many products that have been sold in Texas over the past few years, especially THCA flower, relied on the fact that the law focused specifically on Delta-9 THC levels. Now, you may know that THCA is the acidic precursor to THC. That's what the A stands for. And naturally, that occurs in raw cannabis plants. So when THCA is heated through smoking, vaping, or cooking, it converts into Delta-9 THC. Now, because of that distinction, products could technically test under the 0.3% Delta-9 THC limit while still containing large amounts of THCA. That's what allowed a market for THCA flower to develop in Texas. But with these new rules, labs must now account for the total potential THC, including the THC conversion in that final number. And that change has a ripple effect across multiple product categories, first and foremost for THCA flower itself. Many THCA flower products that were previously sold as compliant hemp will likely exceed the legal THCA limit once THCA is included in the calculation. So that means that those products could no longer qualify as legal hemp under the new testing methodology. Second, concentrates and extracts. Products like live resin, rosin, or other hemp-derived concentrates often contain significant amounts of THCA as well. So once THCA is counted towards the total THC, many of those products would also fall outside the legal hemp threshold. Third, vape products and the workarounds that developed after Texas restricted hemp vaping products during the 2025 legislative session. When the state moved to restrict vape products, some businesses got creative and began selling concentrates in syringes instead of pre-filled vape cartridges. The idea was that the consumer consumer could purchase the concentrate and then fill their own cartridges at home. Those products were often marketed as THCA concentrates rather than traditional vape cartridges. But because those concentrates still contain high levels of THCA, this new rule counting THCA toward total THC could effectively remove those products from the hemp market as well. So when you look at the combined impact of this rule, it's not just about one product category. It could affect THCA flower, hemp-derived concentrates, syringe-style concentrates sold for cartridge filling, and other smokable hemp products. If the rules go into effect as currently written, many of those products may no longer meet the legal definition of hemp in Texas. And that's why this particular part of the rule change has received so much attention from businesses across the industry. So while hemp itself isn't banned in Texas, the inclusion of THCA in total THC could significantly reshape which products are actually available on the market. The next thing these rules address is age restrictions. The rules also reinforce the hemp products can only be sold to adults 21 years and older. Retailers must verify age before completing a purchase or delivery. This aligns hemp products more closely with how alcohol and tobacco sales are regulated. In particular, this rule was something that we in the industry were anticipating, and most of us were actually already self-regulating and only choosing to sell to adults 21 and over, even though this was not an actual rule or law at the time. The next area that this addresses is testing, labeling, and compliance. The new regulations also introduced stricter compliance requirements. These include batch-specific laboratory testing, updated labeling and packaging requirements, child-resistant packaging in many cases, expanded record-keeping requirements, and certificates of analysis have to be available for consumers. These requirements are intended to improve product safety and transparency, but they also create additional operational responsibilities for businesses to keep up with and ensure they are compliant. Another thing this addresses is increased enforcement. So the rules also expand enforcement authority. Specifically, regulators will have broader ability to inspect businesses and review records to ensure compliance. The rules also allow coordination with agencies like the Texas Alcohol Beverage Commission, also known as TABC, who has stepped in to help regulate and enforce on the TABC license size, specifically where you're seeing maybe a bar or restaurant who is selling both liquor and hemp-derived beverages. Also, the Department of Public Safety is able to step in when necessary. So literally everyone is asking, when do these rules go into effect, and how long do I have to both sell these products and purchase these products? So candidly, we're working to confirm the exact filing timeline. It's honestly been all over the place. We've been on calls pretty much since these rules dropped and trying to get clarity because it's been very unclear. But generally speaking, adopted rules become effective 20 days after filing with the Texas Secretary of State. So based on the current timeline, many businesses are preparing for these rules to take effect around March 31st. So really we're looking at the end of March. It could be sooner. However, we really don't have clarity on that and are going to keep you guys updated as much as possible as that particular piece of information continues to unfold. Now, there are possible lawsuits. There's been a discussion about potential legal challenges to these rules, and there are some industry groups have indicated that they plan to file lawsuits for seeking an injunction that could delay the implementation and enforcement of these rules. But at this point, it's not clear what their legal basis for those lawsuits will be, or whether a court would actually pause the rules. So because of that uncertainty, businesses and consumers should prepare for the possibility that the rules do go into effect as scheduled. And again, as a consumer, I'm sure you're wondering, what does all of this mean for consumers here in Texas? So to reiterate, a few things are going to change. Certain products, particularly THCA flower and THCA products, concentrates, syringes / vape, are probably going to become much harder to find because they are going to not qualify under the total THC limit now because THC is included in that. So some retailers may reduce certain product categories as they adjust to the new compliance requirements, and the higher licensing costs could also reshape the retail landscape over time, just depending if your current retailer does not want to pay those increased fees. So hemp itself is not banned in Texas, but the regulatory environment is clearly becoming much more strict. This is still a developing situation, and we'll continue monitoring how these rules are implemented and whether any legal challenges move forward. If you live in Texas and use hemp products, it's important to stay informed because the landscape is changing rapidly. We'll continue sharing updates as more information becomes available, and if you want more videos explaining hemp laws, cannabis policy, and what's happening in Texas hemp, be sure to subscribe to our channel here on YouTube, Restart CBD, so you don't miss future updates. Thank you for your continued support and advocacy as we continue the fight here in Texas hemp. I wouldn't say things are over, but it's certainly taking a turn for an interesting next step, and we'll be here to educate you and support you and be your retailer of choice moving forward for as much as possible and as long as we can. Thanks.